Peace and love, y'all. It's your brother A.D.V.I.S, and we are here with another episode of What's the Word Wednesdays, Season 2, Episode 6. Y'all, let's get this going, man. I appreciate y'all. Appreciate those who will be coming later, and for those who are here, will be watching. So what we gonna do, like we usually do, gonna put in the topics onto the screen, at least for those to see in Instagram, and for those later in YouTube, watch on this in playback. And we're also gonna put up the logo real quick so we can have that set, because still I'm not able to switch back the background, but we pop it up real quick and then we drop it right back after that. But other than that, we're gonna wait for people to come in, and as we're doing that, come in, tell me how y'all feeling today and what's the word. What have you heard around you, around the world? What's been going on with you? Other than that, we're gonna vibe for a little bit. We got some stuff to talk about today, for sure. Peace and love, peace and love. What's going on, brother? You changed your name, didn't you? And I simply can't muster the strength to increase. But I'm taking initial steps to recorrect and reconnect to the epicenter of my center. I've had hardships, all very similar to the human condition that we all witness. So as I continue, I'm here tonight to take this quest and recollect what's mine. But before we do, other things too is for today's topics. Once again, we'll be going into current events. I got a few lined up. And after current events, we're going to talk about contradictions, what they are, how they have an effect, all that, and how obtainable is peace. So those are going to be the three. But as usually do, you're more than welcome. Add any other topics that you have in mind or questions or anything. Throw them in the topics. Throw them in the comments. And that's all this is about. So appreciate y'all. So we getting ready. All right. So as we do it, let's get it. If you learn it, sing along. If not, it's all good. But here we go. Be telling us and asking us like, yo, what's the word? And we tell them like this: what's the word, y'all? What's the word? What's the word, y'all? What's the word? What's the word, y'all? What's the word? What's the word? What's the word? What you heard? We gotta know, yeah, what's the word? Once again, y'all, it's your brother A.D.V.I.S, and we are back with another episode of What's the Word Wednesdays, Season 2, Episode 6. Right now, I'm meeting these Wednesdays, but appreciate y'all for being here. And as we do come in here, please let me know how y'all feeling, how y'all doing, and what is the word? What have you heard, and what do you want to share? But with that, today's topics, like I said earlier, we're going to be looking into current events. But what's going on? I got a few lined up. If y'all have more, throw them in the comments. Let me know. As well as we're going to get into contradictions. And we're also going to get into, lastly, how obtainable is peace. And that can go anywhere, however we want to. This is all based on us, community, and what we want to speak on. But with that, let's get started with these current events. All right, so let's see what's going on with these current events. So right now, current event wise that I got for y'all, because I got two different screens pulled up. What's going on, Connor? Peace and love, brother. What's going on? What's the word? How you feeling? So, few things I got that I want to speak on when it comes to current events and what we got going on, mostly within the U.S. and if y'all have anything, please throw them in the comments, is first thing, we got the whole situation with the next rollout of the COVID-19 payment plan, so the other stimulus check. Right now it has been passed, so the next thing is finishing up putting the bill and everything together. But what some households and people are concerned or really upset about is the new income limits it has for those who will be able to get the next stimulus check, which is to arrive somewhere mid-March, almost to the end, late March. So it's interesting, you know, for those who are looking into that, which is the majority of that, because we know how crazy things are going on around the world and how other things are responding, at least in the U.S. in my perspective. I haven't got to see too much what's going on around in the other parts of the world globally, but at least U.S. wise, we're just over here on these things. But for now, individuals who are making less than $75,000 or $75,000 a year will receive the full amount, and those who make more than that, they will make up to a certain percent. If not, they're not going to end up qualifying, period, for it. So basically, those who literally do not qualify would be those making almost roughly more than $80,000 to almost $100,000. Those are going to be the people who do not qualify. And then that also goes on top of, if you file as a family, you only make up those who make less than $150,000, and for couples, it's going to be capped around in that area. So there's a large amount of Americans who's going to be out of this. But let's see. Brothers up here says kind of specific and political, but the Middle East crazy right now. Specifically where? Tell me where. Because the only other thing I haven't gotten any more updates about is the whole situation with the coup that happened in Myanmar. So that's really all I know, at least in a particular area, what's going on. But shoot, let me know what is up, my brother. But for right now, the payments for the next quote-unquote stimulus is supposed to come out around, it says March 14th for them to make their final decision to be able to get it. So then it's somewhere, like I said, mid-March to the end. And the restrictions, you can see and find those. But that's the first in news that I've seen. The second thing, which I'm gonna switch it to the third one. But the second thing that I just wanted to give just some honor and respect and much love to, but the brother Billy Wailer, which was icon and a legend, who was also a part of literally the Bob Marley and the Wailers. He has passed away. So I wanted to at least come in and at least give some acknowledgement to the reggae pioneer and legend Bunny Wailer, and just send him love and condolences to the family and all that love and cherish him. But I had to show some respects real quick for him. And that's one other thing I saw in the news. Next thing that I wanted to speak on, which is very interesting, which has a lot of people in the U.S. hesitant, has been the whole situation with the mask mandates and the whole thing of following a lot of the COVID-19 restrictions. And as of today, after February 1st, there was a new mandate that came up that now that masks should be worn, or ordered that masks should be worn in all different areas, transportation or wherever you're going. And this had to do, of course, with Joe Biden sending out that mandate. But what happened, or has happened, is because of all the numbers being lowered when it came to the widespread the virus and things happening, we have a whole slew of states now that are now without mask mandates. What's going on, brother? Saab, you smooth in the building, y'all. What's going on, my G? What's the word? So now we have about, said 16 states, but there might be more, if not, that now do not mandate you wearing a mask. So you can go out and you can wear a mask, or not forced to wear a mask, and you can function as usual. I know two of the states that were really getting a lot of flack for it was Texas and Mississippi, with Joe Biden commenting on how it's Neanderthal thinking. So we got some shots fired, and a lot of officials, of course, being upset and up in arms about, just because we're getting a lot of these doses of the shots being sent to everybody and people are getting them and taking them, doesn't mean that we should be going straight right back into the swing of things 100%. But in these particular states, the mayors and some of the lawmakers, not all, have been like, you know what, we're going to lift all the restrictions, as well as all of the different businesses and companies during that time that was locked down. We're going to occupy, and we're going to be back at 100%. So we have a lot of that going on. So about, like I said, 16 states do not have a mask mandate, and there's a few of them that are going back to being at 100% when it comes to capacity. So we will see what will happen once all of this is said and done, and we'll see how this affects later on more numbers when it comes to spikes, or really what will be the next moves with all of this. Because regardless, there's still going to be more shots and more things to be, brought out, which brings me to the next thing that I was looking into, which, peace and love to the brother Buffet Destroyer in the building. George, how you doing, my brother? What's the word? The next thing was about literally now the Johnson & Johnson shot that's come out, and how some people are hesitant to take it because of the fact that there are some questionable things in the vaccine. There's traces of what people know as the MR5, which it has that baby fetus in it, which has been fact checked and disproved. But you look at ingredients and you'll see it. Brothers, y'all are so goofy. That's what's up, though. In the building. So we have some people against the whole shots from Johnson & Johnson, and knowing that this would be supposedly just a one shot, and this would be a one shot you would take annually. With the other ones, it would be two and like an extra booster. But that's just what's going on, at least previously right now. It's March 3rd. As of March 3rd, there's people having their doubts. There's been a lot more talk around getting this done around almost until May, that all, at least Americans, adults, would be able to be vaccinated by that time, or I should say got their shots by that time. So once again, like I said, just providing information that I'm finding. People make their own decisions, how they feel about it in the situations. I just bring it to light. So it's up to you at the end of the day. Do what you gotta do with this information, or even look it up yourself. But that's one of the other things. And the last thing that I have to share, so like if y'all have anything you want to talk about that you've seen in the news or what's going on around you, please throw them in the comments. Like I said, it's a community and we do this together. So the last thing I have, and this has to come around the whole concept too of cloning, and honestly people playing God in a situation. So what's going on, Kundin? How you doing? Peace and love. And what's the word? So this next one that I seen, and I heard about it a week ago, but I wanted to bring it back up. And there's a whole article about cloning. This baby black-footed ferret was cloned from Colorado, and what's going on is they're going to be using this cloned ferret to restart and to stop an endangered species of ferrets. And I found it interesting because this is one of the least notable ones now that shows that cloning has been effective, or at least has been, achieved. And the interesting thing about this ferret is that this ferret was cloned from a ferret back in 1980s. So they've had cells from this ferret long while back, and now they're doing that. Exactly. See, exactly. Can't clone consciousness. Hey, they tried. You never know. You got AI. It's coming. Jurassic Park. And then playing God, like Bill Gates wanted to block out the sun. Yep, I'm just bringing it to y'all because at the end of the day, it comes to that situation. Is people trying to play God, or is it God, or is it for the fact that they're trying to bring a benefit to humanity that later on down the line can be used and appropriated to help further a species, which is what they are saying that this whole situation is to do, is to further that. Peace and love to the brothers. Got Fred Word, Fred's the Wizard, as well as the brother Al Pacino in the building. What's going on, y'all? What's the word? But I just wanted to bring this up from this article that I saw, because we think this, a lot of people think that cloning and things is a new thing and it hasn't been done and hasn't been perfected and things of that nature. But just from this being able to clone a ferret, and back way when they was telling you that it was cloning lambs and everything else, I'm not surprised by this being a thing and how much more technology could be used for cloning. I mean, there's a whole such thing as using surrogates, as well as using different almost like embryos and other different things that are there to birth a child or an animal or any type of species outside of a natural birth. So I'm not surprised. I'm just letting y'all know, if you see more and more of this, that's all that's going to be said and done for sure. That's what's up. Tell them I said, oh, hey Hayden, how you doing? But yeah, that was something else that struck me as I wanted to speak on, was this whole situation of them cloning this ferret to help stop an endangered species, and just the whole idea of, like y'all are speaking in here, playing God, and how that has an effect on certain things too, because genetically this can have a whole different aspect of now how a species will continue to thrive, or how they will interact with different situations, genes, diseases, etc. And literally now what I also saw too on top of this article is that they're going to also, a lot of these, the ones when they become cloned, is that they're going to start giving them also immunizations and shots so that they can still be fine and things of that nature, which in nature ain't no animal lining up to come and be like, all right, I need my shot for the year and everything else, and I'll be good to go. It's not a thing. animals have a natural way of combating different viruses, diseases, and ailments that happen to them. But when you have situations like this, it just, it makes you question a lot of things. But cloning has been around for 2 decades. They didn't clone a sheep. Didn't they clone a sheep before? Yeah, that's what I was speaking on earlier. Also, DNA editing via CRISPR. I've never heard of that, or CRISP, if that's how you say it. No, I didn't. But the company that's behind this one is via Gen Pets in New York. That's the company at least sponsored some of this here, or they did a commercial for this. But if y'all have anything else when it comes to current events and anything of that nature, please throw them in the comments. Only main things like I was talking about earlier is about just the stipend, or not the stipend, but the stimulus and the restrictions when it comes to the amount of money that needs to be made for you to get it, as well as the updates to the different vaccine or the shots, and how there's states that do not have mask mandates, and especially in Texas and Mississippi, they have opened back up 100%. And then this thing with the cloning and successfully cloning is fair, just leading up to more advances in the future, whether for it to be people playing GOD or the more latter half of anything else. But that's all I got. If y'all got more, throw them in the comments. But other than that, we are going to move to the next topic, which for today, the next topic we got is we're going to speak on contradictions and what that means, and how does that play into our lives in ways that we see it, and how we think, and our behaviors, and like who we see. So like I gotta pull up at least the definition, but y'all let me know in the comments, when you hear the word contradiction, what is the first thing or first things that come to your head? Write them in the comments. And as y'all are writing in the comments, I'm gonna just give us the Google definition, or at least that's been provided, and then we're gonna go from there. So, a contradiction. I was trying to give me that one, not this one. There we go. So about to say, it was about to give me contraction. So we looking for contradiction. Alright. So now, this is from the Free Dictionary. And it says contradiction. The act or an instance of contradicting, which for me is like, how are you going to use the same word to define a word? The state of being contradicted. An inconsistency or discrepancy. Inconsistency, discrepancy. One that contains elements that oppose or conflict with another. Peace and love, Sue. What's going on? What's the word? So once again, I'll throw a couple more in here. So when you think of the word contradiction, what I got here is the act of going against a position denial, a declaration of opposite or contrary, conflict or inconsistency as between events, qualities, and etc. A person or thing containing conflicting qualities. And in logic, it says that it is a statement that is false under all circumstances and is a necessary falsehood. So, when I think of contradiction, basically I think of opposing thoughts and ideas, as well as, inconsistencies of what's being said. So, for example, saying that, yo, man, pizza is the most terrible thing that you can be eating right now because it provides you no type of health value in any way, shape, or form, and you shouldn't be eating it. But then you catch that person on the flip side another day, done ordered a whole thing of pizza and is eating it, and it's like, yo, I thought you said that wasn't healthy for you to eat, and it was like, and you had no health value in it. But it'd be like, they'll be like, well, I mean, it has tomatoes in it, so I mean, it has, you know, some veggies and, you know, fruit that's in there. And literally talking, just basically taking back what they just previously said, and now they're still doing something else, what they said not to do, but they're doing it. So in effect, also just that contradicting action. It's like, you said that it was not healthy and then you shouldn't be eating it, but then you over here and you got a whole box of pizza, and when I confront you and you say, well, it got tomatoes in it. Get it together. But literally, when we think of contradictions, or we just think of that in itself, that's life. Life is full of them. Life at times does not make sense, and then it makes sense. And the reason why is to show you that literally that is how a lot of things are, is that they're not always going to be just this side and that side. It's a whole thing of, it's this, again, it is a balancing act, but it's also the whole aspect of having these different competing thoughts in your head, from, because maybe you might have not known information before about a certain topic, and now that you learn that this certain topic and thing is not good for you, you've been so conformed and you've been so used to that particular topic that even though it shows you that something is not good for you, you still indulge in it. Peace and love, Chris. I see you, fam. What's the word? Peace and love to the brother MC Zero in the building. What's the word, fam? So we talking about contradictions. Whenever y'all throw in the comments what you think when you hear the word contradiction. So, for example, people smoking. You know, shout out to those who are doing their best to can, and I'm talking about smoking like the cigarettes. I mean, weed's a whole nother different thing you can get into, but just for the example to be used for a contradiction is literally knowing that there are different commercials and different warnings and labels that tell you that this particular thing is a known state carcinogen, which is it causes cancer, that you are taking this at your own risk to be doing. So it's on you. But I also understand that within doing that, there are addictive qualities that are in that. So it's kind of hard when you have these addictive qualities that also reframe the mind and reframe and restructure the neurons and things in the body. So it makes it hard. But where the contradiction comes in is through the speech and what is being said. So you're telling somebody else that, oh, you should do this. Oh, you can, you know, I can still do this even though this is still not good for me. I can still run and do things. Don't matter. I can smoke that means as much as I want. It helps me to calm down and be chill. But at the same time, I can still outrun you any way day that I can, knowing the fact that it's slowly breaking you down. And once again, I'm not shaming anybody that's saying, you know, that does these different things. It's just those who decide to take it even a step further and not acknowledge the fact that it is a contradiction in itself to be telling somebody that, you know, I can still do this with these things. But just being realistic about, yeah, man, this is definitely not a, you know, the thing. It's not good for me, not good for anybody health-wise, but I'm taking my time to slowly work my way out of it. And I really don't highly suggest you to be doing it, but you need to know these are the risks. But it's always shown around us every single day that, you know, contradictions happen, things of these natures will end up coming up, and that's where it is. Yes, some paradoxical statements are also made of contradictions. It's, I am a liar, for example, or this statement is false. That's the English language for you too at the same time. is literally, I mean, I get to do another show which really, speaks on words and how words are spells. And even within those words, sometimes you look into the definitions, you'll find out that some definitions actually don't add up, or it might actually be completely opposite of what you think it would be. So it's like the language in itself and the words that we use are so contradictory that if you try to put them together in a sentence, that's why using two, like, you can't not using the double negative in a sentence, that in itself is also it's a contradiction. Like, why would you use I never knew that I could not do this? Like, why you have never and not in there at the same time? So it just leads you to really be like, there's these paradoxes and these contradictions. But now let me see. We still got more. It said most people who contradict themselves on a regular are often compulsive liars. Peace and love to the brother R.V.Y. Powered. How you doing, my G? Peace and love. What's the word? Say, yeah, secondary payoffs. A big reason why many keep bad habits. Because it's up in here. It starts up in here. We may see it on the outside, what the information is given to us, but ultimately it's still up to us up here. Because you can really, your mind and yourself is like, one time it's like it's like your strongest enemy, I swear. Because you can tell yourself, all right, let me go do this, let me go work out and get this stuff done, and I'm gonna have a good day, and then I'm gonna go get me something, to treat myself. But then you have that thought in your head is telling you, why you gotta even go work out? Why don't you just go get you something sweet? You don't even need to work out. Not knowing the fact that you're trying to set yourself up and be more disciplined on working out because you know it's good for you, and not trying to give yourself just a straight up reward to have that, sweet or whatever treat, and just deciding, forget it, I don't even have to work out, let me just go get the treat. That in itself, your mind will play those tricks on you, and it will tell you that you can do these things. So the whole thing with the compulsive liars, that sometimes, yes, I mean, that goes deeper into some more mental health things, but, honestly, on a daily basis, I feel people will contradict themselves, and it's because they go back with the second guessing, third, fourth guessing themselves because of that. Yeah, I don't say good morning anymore. I'm not mourning anything. Once again, playing on these words. Exactly. I have a whole thing with that too. Shoot, let's see. So the word is love. Yes, brother, the word is love. And that's what we doing on here, my G. We spread the love. We do, as we're also getting into these convos and telling people and just having our perspectives on these things. So if you have anything on contradiction, man, please throw it in there, my G. And I'm just reading through the comments. I appreciate y'all and thank y'all for being here. My uncle, who quit drinking cold turkey over 12 years ago, still smokes because he doesn't like to feel lonely, especially at work. Once again, like I said, we have the information's out there for you to know, and it's out there for you to have. But it's still up to you to make that change. There's so many outlets and resources that you can use, even if you say that you don't have access to those different resources, whatever it is, you can do it. It's really up to you saying if you want to do it or not. And you use it. We don't want it to be a point where some of the contradictions that you have about you saying you're gonna do this and then do that, and you use it as an excuse and a crutch to keep you there. That's where you want to watch out. That's the danger zone of just using those contradictions to be just your crutch, and you'll be like, well, I'm flawed as a person, so honestly, it doesn't really matter. You can tell me that, but I feel this way about it, so I just keep doing it because I'm a flawed person. We're not perfect. We know that. That's not nobody. But it doesn't mean that you can't improve upon yourself slowly and be able to do that and be able to progress. Right now is super, super terrible in any way, shape, or form. But just really wanting to, if you see an issue, you see a problem, and you keep saying that this is something that you want to change, but then you show opposite that it isn't, What you gonna do about it? What's going on, Kundin? Peace and love,
What's
brother.
up?
What's the word?
Peace and love.
So how you doing?
Great. Yeah, I wanted to come on here and talk about my uncle as an example because he's such a great study in contradictions because,
Yes.
he's quit drinking. He quit drinking like over 12 years ago when he got diagnosed
Yeah.
with diabetes. Like it was like just a little bit above the threshold from pre-diabetes into diabetes. So
Yeah.
he pretty much quit sugar. He quit eating rice for the most part, and I started cooking quinoa for him every day, and started making green smoothies for him every day. So I basically became his
Mm.
cook, and his
Yeah.
nutritionist. And within 6 months, actually within 4 months, actually, he completely turned it around. It's like uh, below the threshold now. So back to basically like pre-diabetes. And
Mm.
but he hasn't quit smoking, and the reason why he doesn't, he says, is that um, so it's about secondary payoff, like I said. So for some people, it's to relax, like you said, but for
Yeah.
him, he says that. So the funny thing is, like, he doesn't know how to use a smartphone,
Mm.
he so he does have a smartphone, but it's like a very old one, and he doesn't use it for anything, just to call and text, and not even
Yeah.
text, like just to call. And so at work, everybody else also have an addiction, but the addiction is to the smartphone. So they're like looking at the smartphone
Mm.
and they're holding it. And when he tries to talk to them, they're like, "Oh, I have to read this." They don't want to talk to him because they're looking at their phones. So he feels like he has nothing to hold on to. So he takes out his cigarette and he smokes because he feels lonely and he doesn't want to feel lonely.
Mm.
Like,
Wow.
yeah,
But it makes a lot of sense. I mean, once again, it makes a lot of sense in that particular work environment because speaking of that in social conformity, that video that you sent me, it just
yeah,
shows. And if most of y'all don't know, Kundin, this is another great brother who has a lot of wisdom and knowledge. So if y'all want to know some more things too, tap in with this brother. But earlier he sent me a video that basically it was an experiment where there was this one lady and in this basically I was just gonna say in this reception area, either if it was at a doctor's office or something. But
hmm
basically they did an experiment to see how fast she would conform to what other people or the group was doing. So there's already a number of people that were sitting down and that were there at that particular office. So she comes and sits in, and before you know it, you hear this sound. Either it was a bell or an alarm or whatever it was. And every time that alarm went off, they would stand up. So each time that they were standing up, she was kind of getting confused of like, why is everybody doing this? But just after I think about 2 or 3 times, she started joining in with the group. And what that whole experiment had ended up doing, showing is that how quick we are to conform because of the fact, like you talked about with your uncle, is that since literally I was the only person, or she's the only person that wasn't doing it. She felt alone, but when she started doing
hmm
it, now she felt like she got some reward from it because she was a part of the group. And
hmm
what even took the step or the study even further, or the whole experiment, is that when all those people that were doing it had left and she was the only one there, and newer people came in, she kept that same behavior going. And what happened is she conformed even more new people that came in. And some people asked like, wait, why are you doing this? And she was just like, well, because I saw everybody else that was doing it, so that's why I thought it was a thing that we continue to do. So sometimes it just shows you that for us to feel comfortable in a particular place that we're at, and what may be doing in that environment, that will conform to that out of the fact, so that we can be comfortable, and you don't even think about it. It just happens, and then you just like, yo, what? So nah, I appreciate you sharing that.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And speaking of conformity, on the other side, with the smoking example again, I think was it a Seinfeld episode? There was a one comedy episode where people, co-workers would
Decent up
like
to those.
would go outside in a group to smoke, and they were like the in crowd or something like that, and
Yeah.
this one person uh, doesn't smoke or was trying to quit or something, and he like she felt like left out, and so eventually she started giving in and started to smoke with the crowd too,
Mm.
and that's how she ended up going back into the habit of smoking. Same thing with why people drink too, right? Like I
Mm-hmm.
haven't drunk in years, but I remember feeling very distinctly like when I would go to bars with friends, or even just to a friend's house sometimes, and everybody is drinking and I'm not. I felt a similar pressure to the woman in the video. Like, I resisted the pressure, but I felt like left out in some way. Like, even if I was just holding
Yeah.
water or Sprite or something. Yeah. Or juice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. See, look at now. That feels like that's like a whole nother different topic. I might say that for another. I mean, like that's a really good one. I don't want to get too much more deeper into that. But let's see. The brother said so. Now we got kids who learn to do this because they think they have to, because it's in the culture. Yes.
Oh,
So I
yeah. The
mean,
beetle nut thing, right? Yeah. You said earlier people do that here too. With chewing beetle nut, they started telling the kids that chewing beetle nut is to socialize and it's not called. Oh, yeah. In my country too, we chew beetle nut. That's the thing. Yeah. In my home country,
mm.
Myanmar. Yeah. Yeah. It's a whole thing.
So that's what ends up happening with this. But with with contradictions,
Mm-hmm.
for it to be a contradiction, one of the prerequisites is you're aware of it,
Mm-hmm.
because you can't call something that's a contradiction if you don't even know what it is. If you don't know that for you, and look at this, is we can go into the whole thing with ignorance, which I feel like ignorance still has that word ignore, so you know what you're doing. But I
Mm-hmm.
mean, say like, yeah, say really you're very naive and you didn't know that, when you go to restaurants, that literally there are plaques that tell you that some of these raw foods and stuff that you eat actually also say that it may contain what the state would say is a level whatever carcinogen, so it might have some stuff in there, and you
Mm-hmm.
don't know when you go out and go eat, and you're like, oh yeah, it's good, this is all still healthy and stuff, and you're just kind of like, yeah, that's the thing. But if you're like everybody else, and I know some of you be like, oh man, why are you even thinking so hard about this? Why are you going in restaurants and stuff and looking all this stuff? Like, go there to enjoy and eat food. I feel it. If it's straight in your face, you can't help but literally just look and
Even
see
at
it
the
and read
apartment
it.
complex entrances, I see those signs. Uh, and also at supermarket, I mean, grocery store entrances too.
Yes. So I mean, it's literally you. The part of if it's a contradiction is you have to be aware of it. It'd be like, yeah, I know I should or I shouldn't be doing this thing, but I'm still gonna go and do that. And
Mm-hmm.
the main thing with that is that, I mean, for some people, that's what makes life interesting because it's something that's good for you, but you like, I'm gonna enjoy the ride. Let's see where it takes me. So I get that,
Mm-hmm.
as well as when I spoke on earlier that a lot of things in life are contradictions because it is subject to change. So you think something
Mm-hmm.
should stay one way forever, which we know that. That's just how life is change. We're not gonna say change is
Mm-hmm.
contradiction, but knowing not changing a particular aspect or thought about yourself is something that ends up being contradictory. Once again, in the definition in itself, it's talking about different elements that oppose each other and have a
Mm-hmm.
conflict with each other. It's almost this two idea of cognitive dissonance, and how
Mm-hmm.
these two different thoughts are wrong, or one of these thoughts was wrong, but you learn the other thought was quote unquote, wrong and right, but you're still like, man, I've done this for so long. Yeah, I still feel comfortable with this. And, you're just deciding
The
that, I don't
thrill.
necessarily have to end up doing that. Yes, the thrill and being a rebel. Yes, yes. If somebody tells you that, speaking from the current events, there's a mask mandate, you need to be wearing the mask. That's how it ends up going, because that's going to help stop quote unquote the spread, and people's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. I don't feel like doing that. I don't need to because of the fact it doesn't matter. And then quote unquote, you don't know. Long behold, something can happen, and then they don't end up, and they end up being, having the virus. That's the choice that they end up making. So what ends up happening is with your contradictions, just know that if you have a contradiction that you know that is not helpful for your growth, and you think that if you keep doing it, it is going to help you get better, or you're going to get better at it, you're taking a risk. That is your choice that you're making to end up doing. And once again, I'm not here to be preaching. I'm just giving the info. This is my perspectives on it. So if y'all have some on that, I appreciate y'all. But literally, for things to be a contradiction, you have to be aware of it. And you also have to be aware of the opposite side so that you know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I love that, Sue. Exactly. Contradictions lead to consequences. I feel like with contradictions, it lets you know of that there's a consequence. So if you do this, this could happen. And this is what could possibly happen. So it's up to you. What you gonna do? It's almost down to the fact of like, yes, it's what you decide on and what you end up looking into. Complacency is a dangerous thing. Yes. And I will take it even further, and I will say that honestly, in this, at least in the US, I don't know around the globe, because I would love to travel more. I've only been a few places, but I feel like this is complacency is actually something that is kind of pushed up in the US society. Is to be complacent. Is once where you get where you need to, it's all good. I got the money that I needed. I got all the things that I needed. I'm good. Oh, your fight for your, civil rights and your human rights. Oh, that has nothing to do with me. I mean, I got what I needed, so I'm good. I'm out of this. But and it's just really it is a sad thing, because once you think you've already done enough, that's when you're like, I don't need to do anymore. And then that's where I spoke on this before too. If that's why we have these different situations when it comes to different generational views and stuff. And it's like, well, now is your turn, so we're not going to do anything more now. We've already did our part, so we've gotten what we need to. So now is your turn. I get it, the passing of the torch. But at the same time, are you going to pass that torch with some information to help us avoid the pitfalls that y'all fell into, so that we don't repeat it again? So I know I may be going off a bit base, but just the main thing with the whole setup of contradictions is literally it's not a contradiction unless you're aware of it. And that point, it is your choice whether or not that you're going to get into that or not. But the awareness of it really is where you can also combat it. But don't let it be a crutch, and don't get complacent with the whole situation of it being that, and that go to that main excuse is that I'm not perfect. We can all use that, but when is excuses going to help you at the end of the day? So just keep that in mind. You got anything else on this point?
Yeah, like the contradiction, especially with habits, is also that the long-term payoff often contradicts the short-term immediate secondary payoff, right? Like with the smoking example, where the short-term is you ease the loneliness, but the long-term is that you get healthy, right?
Yes.
But the mind cannot imagine the long-term. They can only feel what's happening right now. And so they stick to the short-term. Another powerful example is like a friend of mine was trying to heal this bedridden person. He does like energy healing and I think also with food and stuff.
Yes.
And so this person, and he would try everything, and this person would get better, and then they would get sick again. They would get better and then get sick again. And finally, but once he looked at the family dynamics, right?
Yes.
He noticed a pattern. That's when he realized, oh my God, there's one more factor that he needs to take into account. So what he noticed was that the husband and the son were taking care of this. Hi, Chris. The husband and the son were taking care of this woman who was bedridden, and she became attached to being taken care of. And she was scared that if she got better, she wouldn't be taken care of like that anymore. And And so he had to like go and talk to the husband and the son and said, make sure that whenever she gets better, you give her the same care and you give her the assurance that, you will continue to care for her, continue to love her in the
Yeah.
same manner, to support her. And, she started to get better.
Mm, beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can definitely, you get treated in a certain way, and if you're not attuned to knowing what the reasons why that certain treatment was for, then it becomes more and more difficult for you to get used to
Hmm.
the other parts of that. So yeah, I definitely I definitely hear with that, and I feel that. And with that same thing too, moving to the last topic, if you have anything else, appreciate you so much, Kundin. The last topic we have is with that same thing of being able to have that feeling and that peace of mind in a way, is
Hmm.
how obtainable is peace? Y'all tell me, is peace
Hmm.
even possible to have? And when I'm speaking of peace, we taking it anywhere. It can end up being mental peace, physical peace,
Hmm.
whatever way you want to define this way. But I want to know, how obtainable is peace? Can we get it? Is it? Is it a little bit? Is it somewhat? Or is it a lot? Or we can have total peace even in a chaotic state? Y'all let me know. Interesting.
Oh, yeah, that's similar, huh? Becoming complacent with being helped, becoming severely obese because of it. Yeah. Yeah, that's the secondary
Yeah,
payoff, right? You want the love, and you're
yep,
afraid that if you change, you won't be loved the same way or as much. Yeah.
yep. That might be some parts of too, and some, feelings of, some, insecurities and stuff of that nature as well too. But yeah,
Hmm.
so now,
Yeah, the peace.
how
Well,
attainable
it
is
depends
peace?
on how you. Depends on, like, I think we have to define peace, right?
Yeah.
Because some people see peace as like the absence of emotion, which is not how I view it, or even just being docile as peaceful. That's not how I view it
Okay.
either. But those are like wrong ways or even like manipulative ways of defining peace. For me, peace is like, it's not even acceptance, it's like the capacity to hold space for all emotions. And
Mm,
can I have that capacity? I
yes.
think it's a curve. It's a curve that can always get better. It's a curve that is like a
Mm,
circle like this in math. So I can keep increasing my capacity to hold space for all emotions. Will it be
yeah.
perfect every day? No, no. But I can get better at it every
Yes.
day. Yeah.
Love that. I love that. I mean, I really do share the same sentiments with you as well too, Kunin. I'm gonna get a little bit more, and let's see. We got people saying I have such mixed feelings about peace. Yes, and like I said, it's however you want to end up defining it, because like different words in the English language and everything that we know, there's not just one unified definition or thought of one thing. So yes, yeah, it's possible. Yeah, peace is possible. It's possible. IDK about probable. Mm. Monks do it, so I believe that it's possible. But look at how they live compared to how we do here in American society. Yes. So, are you speaking of in the terms of peace of mind, or as in the environment being peaceful, that it ends up having an effect on just the overall community that's there to create this peace? So, is peace a state of mind? Is it just a state of, being, or where you at? Or is peace something that you can give to somebody to have? Or is peace, and I'm gonna be extra, yes, is peace something that you show, whether if it's in a sign of a, form of either some type of sign language to help gear you towards figuring out what that peace is for yourself? Or It's peace, like you said, the absence of a lot of all these different things. And in my particular case, I'm gonna share, because if I can get to it, because I love a lot of people, if y'all know, and shouts out to all of those that's in here. Peace and love, unspoken views in the building. What's good, fam? I see you, sister. She killing the game right now too. If you haven't checked out that project, check out that project. Woo! But for me, in terms of when I think of peace, I think of it in the aspect of really the state of mind in your being, and how you in yourself navigate and use and find that peace. Because in my particular case, when it comes to a lot of social ills or a lot of situations in life, it starts back with you identifying and finding yourself, and finding that inner strength in yourself to really be able to build upon yourself and show that to the outward. So I feel and I know that you can find peace in the midst of a storm. And usually when it's the storm, most people go into the eye of the storm because that is the most common, it's the most safest place to be. So even in this state of craziness right now that we're all going through, what practices and what things are you doing to help you feel balanced? And if you feel that that balance also helps you to promote that peace, which for me, like I said, it's more the state of mind and also just that awareness around yourself, you walk around with that feeling, you're able to also have an impact on everybody else. Because once again, we are energy, frequency, and vibration at the end of the day. So how we communicate with each other is not only just on this physical level, it's even on a more deeper level than you think. That's why people talking about, I feel your vibe, I'm gonna catch your vibe, and all these different types of natures, because you attune yourself to that feeling and you attune yourself to that state. So when you do that, you're able to pass that on and you're able to feel that. But just as Kundin said, it's going to be an everyday, struggle back and forth to maintain that peace. Because once you get peace, guess what? You don't keep it forever. That's just like me saying, like, yo, I brought this TV. I'm going to keep this TV forever. Guess what? That TV does not last forever. You're going to end up eventually have to get you a new TV if you want to get you a new TV. Eventually, you got to get yourself a new car if you want to have a new car. Nothing lasts forever. You must maintain things. So even if you get peace one day, guess what? Life might end up saying, since it's so contradictory, it'll be like, yo, you had a lot of peace on Monday. Now, guess what? When it comes to Wednesday, I'm going to throw a whole grip of things at you that is going to challenge your peace. And we'll see if you keep it or not, or you're able to maintain it. So literally, for me, when it comes to thinking of how obtainable is peace, peace is very obtainable, but it's all dependent on how you define it, how you're able to use it and get it, as well as if it's for you. If you're talking about peace for the whole world and you're talking about peace for every other individual person, that there it's very hard for the whole world and other things to obtain peace, because there's so much things going on and there's so many things that we don't have an influence fully on to be able to do so. But as we're doing that, let me see, I'm going down, see some more comments. Let's see, Sue said, I feel peace is a state of mind and a state of being. We don't have control over a lot of things for peace to be a constant, if that makes sense. Yes, that makes a lot of sense. Exactly what I'm speaking on. That's exactly what I'm speaking on. I agree. Peace is freedom from extremists, for me, from binary, from this or that, up and down, superior, inferior, etc. I feel it. So do you feel, so if peace is that freedom from those extremes, are you there in that middle? Are you there of knowing that these are these realities, but then there's almost other different things that add to that peace? So like you there, so peace creates that balance. Appreciate that, yoga. Appreciate that, yoga. Let's see. For example, if your favorite loved one passes away, that was an example I had in my head. We on the same level right now, Sue. Grief could disrupt your peace for a moment, but you can work to get back to it. Exactly. Sue, we on the page right now. That's the example I was thinking of. And let's see. The great Mojave. Let's see. Time to recharge and for ourselves. Meditation, non-thinking, breathing helps with attaining peace. Yes. Letting go is a big one too. Agreed. So how obtainable is peace? Including, you can add more on that if you want to. It's very obtainable. But just like we have the great Mojave and other people are saying, is it's not a constant thing. You have to do things to maintain it. And you knowing yourself and what helps you to maintain your peace, whether if it's you going in the kitchen and cleaning to help maintain that peace and that peace of mind for you, you go for that. So whatever you can do that helps you to keep that peace or keep that centeredness and that balance, go for it. And what ends up happening is the more that you practice that, the more you're able to always keep yourself in that constant state of being balanced and in peace. And ultimately, you keep doing that so much to the point that it has an impact on the next person that's next to you, because then now they're going to wonder, dang, why do you feel so peaceful? Like, why are you able to move so the way that you do, even though you might have just ended up almost getting into an accident and you wanted to yell and get mad at that person who cut you off? Like, how were you able to keep yourself there? And we do like we're doing right now. We're all giving each other some aspects and some wisdom into how to maintain and obtain that peace. And the main thing with that is the more that you're able to do it, people will see it and show it, and then they'll acclaim or get to that. So it's almost like a domino effect. Once you're able to do it yourself, other people see that, then they want to challenge themselves, and it just continues and continues. And we know, once again, it is an everyday thing. So you don't buy it. It's not a one-time buy, and that's it. You have an unlimited amount of it for the rest of your life. If that was the case, once again, then we wouldn't have no contradictions, because of the fact that everything is given to you, have everything. Life will be quote unquote boring, since people would love to make it interesting. That's why we got dramas. That's why we got all these different things that come along with life. But at the end of the day, in my perspective, peace is very obtainable, depending on you speaking on the individual. But if you're speaking on the world as a whole, peace it'll be very hard to, but to a certain extent, somewhat. But yes, alignment.
You know, you were talking about the English language earlier.
Yes.
So it's interesting, even the way the question is framed, right?
I did that
How
on purpose.
attainable is peace? Yeah, it's the way I interpret the question, it makes it sound like it's a thing or or a box,
Yes.
right? To get.
Yes.
And I'm seeing now, after discussing it, I'm seeing peace as more as a wave rather than a particle, which means, and like every other emotion is also a wave, so it's peace. So there's like you're surfing on an ocean of emotions, and you're trying to surf on the wave of peace. And I really like the surfing metaphor now, because if you're surfing on the wave of peace, right, and you're trying every day you're gonna fall from that surfboard and you're gonna get into the ocean, right? You're gonna drown in the ocean for a bit, but every day you get back up on the surfboard and you surf the wave of peace again. That's kind of like how I envision it now.
Yes, and I'm glad you also made that observation, Kunding. And when I do make these questions, and when I have these topics, it's just how I feel at that moment, and I always want to capture that. And there's a reason for why it's phrased the way that it is phrased, because we can interpret it so many different ways, and it just gives more conversation and more talk for us to all spark. Okay, what are you meaning by this? And then everybody has their perspective on it, and we add it together. So that's always the main thing. So before I close out the show, y'all, and I appreciate everybody that was in here. We are going to have an after show, so y'all more than welcome to come after the after show. I want to share an acronym, because A lot of people know me. If they don't, they do. You'll know me for I love creating acronyms from words and then putting them out there. So I actually have one for peace. And I wanted to share that and just leave that with us. And you determine how you feel about this whole thing that I put for it. And I'm also going to read a little bit of the description as well, too. So this is my acronym for peace. It is piecing experiences all together to create essence. So when I think of peace, we're piecing experiences all together to create essence. So in the sense of how I put that there is that all of your experiences are helping you together to create who you are and how you feel about it. So your peace can come from other different places to build upon who you are and how you want to end up having that. At least from
There
when I
you
wrote
go.
that in that moment in time. So when I wrote in
That's
that moment in
exactly what
time,
I said in the beginning, right? When I
exactly.
said peace is the ability to hold space for all emotions so that you can get to that essence. It's like, it's not just one emotion, it's all of it. It's like, no matter what else you're feeling, you try to increase the capacity to still have this underlying current of peace. Like you look at all emotions with that sense of, yeah, just acceptance, or not even acceptance, but like just be with it, to just
Yes.
be with it. Yeah.
Yes. With everything is
Hmm.
be be that thing. Like I
Hmm.
also had a series too of breaking down words. I already spoke on it, but I also broke down the word enjoy. And the main thing with that too is that it's always an outside thing. We gotta work on the inside and be that thing. Because then once you are that thing, you'll get more on top of that. But yes, zero. It's 100 proof for sure. And to end with that, in this world of ours, it's important to find your peace. So
Hmm.
whatever you have and whatever you're doing, please find that peace. Do your best that you can to understand those contradictions, work towards them, whatever it is. And lastly, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate you, Kundan, so much for coming on. We're going to have the after show, but I've been your brother A.D.V.I.S. This has been the brother Kundan, and this has been an episode of What's the Word Wednesdays, season 2, episode 7, 6. I'm tripping. It's 6. And we will see y'all next time. Other than that,
Peace and
peace
love.
and love to everyone. We out.